For these double text questions, I really like to reverse things if the question suggests that I maybe should. So in this case, it's saying, how would the author of text 2 most likely respond to the underlying claim in text 1? To me, it's more important to first understand what text 2 is arguing, so I'm going to read that first. Maybe this is confusing for you. I don't think this is like a mandatory strategy, but it's just another way of thinking about these, and it does help me. And we do need to say what is the response to the underlying portion, but I'm going to hold off on that. So let's see what text 2 says first. An Australian research team weakened the case for a Polynesian origin, so weakened Polynesian origin for the L. arenell chicken by confirming that the mutation identified by Story has occurred in breeds from around the world. So occurred around the world. More recently, though, a team led by Augusto Luzuriaga Nira found that South American chicken breeds and Polynesian breeds share other genetic markers that European breeds lack. Thus, the preponderance of evidence now favors a Polynesian origin. Wow, this is very tricky. So I got to go back here. How would the author of text 2 most likely respond? Well, the author of text 2 is not Augusto Luzuriaga Nira, but it does seem to bounce back and forth, right? An Australian team weakened the Polynesian origin, but then this other team now says that it favors a Polynesian origin. So what does the author of passage 2 believe? I think this right here is the guy's belief. The preponderance of evidence now favors a Polynesian origin. So I would say that's kind of what the person believes, but maybe there's this idea of like there's evidence on both sides. I don't know. Let's go to text 1 now, especially the underlined portion, and see if there's some sort of connection we're missing here. In 2007, a team led by these people analyzed a chicken bone over a century before Europeans invaded the region, bringing their own chickens. Story also found that the L. arenell chicken shared a unique genetic mutation with the ancient chicken breeds of the Polynesian Islands in the Pacific. Thus, Polynesian peoples, not later Europeans, probably first introduced. Okay, well, this seems to be saying the exact same thing as this, right? That they're saying the Polynesians introduced the chickens. This is saying this favors a Polynesian origin. So that seems to be the same. So my dumb summary for what passage 2 person is going to say is agree, but maybe, I don't know, there's mixed evidence. I don't know. I don't think this part's important because it really does say the preponderance of evidence, meaning lots of evidence. So let's see what these choices look like. A, by broadly agreeing with the claim, but objecting that the timeline it presupposes conflicts with the findings of the genetic analysis conducted by Story's team. Well, agreeing sounds good, but this other part seems kind of off. I don't remember them talking about time. It doesn't seem to matter that much in text 2, so this just feels like a random fact. Maybe I'm missing something, but I'll come back to this choice if there's others that seem maybe good. By faulting the claim for implying that domestic animals couldn't have been transferred from South America to the Polynesian. No, faulting the claim just sounds like disagreeing, so that doesn't seem right. C, by critiquing the claim for being based on an assumption that before the European invasion of South America, the chickens of Europe were genetically uniform. No, it's not about Europe. This is, again, critiquing the claim sounds like negative, sounds like disagreement. D, by noting that while the claim is persuasive, the findings of this person's team provide stronger evidence for it than the findings of the genetic analysis connected by Story. So, okay, persuasive means agree. Now this is getting into the different people who I didn't really pay attention to the first time I read this, but now I can go back. The first text is talking about Story, and then the second text is talking about Story, but saying that in a negative way, that maybe it's not a good study, but then this other person is good. So the findings of this team provide stronger evidence, yes, than the Story claim, right? So there is some element of this kind of parenthetical dumb summary that I have here, right? That there's a mixed bag here. I wasn't sure if that was going to matter. It ended up mattering, but I don't know. I don't think it really mattered in my process. I think it's one of those things that once you start looking at the choices, you can start to see that they're getting specific about something. So you can just do what I did right there at the end and go back to the lines and kind of like with that specific idea in mind, look for new ideas that you maybe missed the first time around or maybe ignored the first time around, right? We want to get a dumb summary summary, agreeing and disagreeing is about as dumb as it gets. So it's okay to keep it that simple and then worry about the specifics if they matter in the choices. And like I said with A here, like I didn't think this was going to be right, but there really isn't anything, even looking back, about this idea of like the time being off. They're not talking about years and stuff. This just seems like a random criticism, whereas the stuff in D does match with things that are in the text. These are tricky questions, but I think they're certainly better now that these passages are much shorter than they used to be on the old test. So at the very least, if it's painful, it's only painful for a few minutes before you have to move on.